Viewer discretion is advised.
Woo! All right. You are listening to Wine and Crime, the podcast where two friends chug wine, chat true crime, and unleash their worst Minnesotan accents.
We sure do.
I'm Amanda.
I'm Lucy.
And we have a very special me pick.
For once you pushed this one through.
Today is all about me for once.
For once.
Somebody check on Sheena. Okay, so how this topic came to be. When we did the luminol crimes episode, I was looking for cases, obviously, for that. That was a Lucy pick. And I found this case that mentioned luminol, but didn't have enough to really make it feel right for the luminol episode. Mm-hmm. But it stuck with me and I really wanted to cover it. And so I was like, can we do a Fickle Forensics? And Lucy was like, yes.
Fickle Forensics.
And so we are talking about Fickle Forensics today because forensic science is amazing. And we have made leaps, bounds, and phenomenal strides in the
Skips,
scientific
trots,
arts.
cartwheels.
But a lot of forensic quote unquote science is deeply interpretive and subjective, depending on who is analyzing that quote unquote evidence. And it can sometimes do more harm than good.
My printer just started cleaning.
That's
so if you
wild.
Hear that, I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry for the behavior of my printer.
I would like to apologize on behalf of my printer.
To formally apologize on behalf of my printer who cannot speak for herself.
She's speaking all right.
Well, let her voice be heard.
I'm hearing it.
Anyway, Fickle Forensics.
They're very fallible. They can be fucked up. Yeah.
Fallible forensics.
I have many examples, which we'll get to.
Can't wait. I'm so excited. So for the wine crime pairing, I did go a little bougie. I'm not going to lie. The prices on this are wild. But I really wanted to find an evidence wine brand. Mm-hmm. And there is one. And
holy shit, these are out of our budget.
Yeah, I mean, there is one that I can recommend that won't impoverish anyone, and it's their Gruner Veltliner, which is $35. But if you're really feeling like a splurge, they have some high quality reds. Their Cab Sauves are elite.
Yeah,
so
if you're going to say illegal.
No, but if you feel like, dropping some bills on Cab Sauves, they have some in the $90 to $125 range.
Which to a lot of people who want to just sit down and have a beautiful bottle of wine, that's
this could be a wedding.
Totally reasonable.
If you're having a spooky little bitch style wedding, this could be a wedding wine, an anniversary wine, wine for all budgets.
Exactly.
But they do have two Gruner Veltliners available. This is a white grape varietal, and it does have, it has some similarities to Riesling, but it's a little bit drier and spicier. So I'm going to read the notes from the 2022. They have a 2022 and 2023 harvest available. The tasting notes do appear to be a little bit different. So for the 2022, they said, quote, with an almost perfect growth season until the very beginning of September 2022, the vintage was suddenly affected by extreme heat over an extended period of time, thrusting the harvest of whites into a frenzy of all at once crushing. Lord. Unlike reds, white wines don't present any real options for letting the fruit hang a bit longer on the vine. As such, the 2022 season will be remembered as the tale of two harvests, since rain quickly followed the extended heat influence and added extra hang time for the red wine production. Gruner Veltliner is a dry white varietal grown largely in Austria. The name translates to green wine of Veltlin, an exotic alternative to Sauvignon Blanc, so there's another similarity. The primary fruit flavors in Gruner Veltliner are lime, lemon, grapefruit, and green peppercorn.
Oh,
There's
my.
also a green and herbaceous flavor that is often described as white pepper. High quality Gruner wine will have a delicate, tingly aftertaste. You get a little bit of that effervescence.
Ooh, yum.
Right? Doesn't that sound good?
I like a Gruner Veltliner like on a really hot day. It's really light.
It's really light. And it feels like a more mature choice than like a Vino Verde, which also is light and great for a hot day and has some of that bubble to it. But
They're really similar.
Vino Verde is, I think, a decent, like much less expensive alternative, but it certainly lacks the complexity of flavor profile that a good Gruner Veltliner is going to have. Some of that layer. You're going to get a little bit more of like the sweet and the citrus in a Vino Verde. And Vino Verde is just really delicate. I don't find it to be extraordinarily flavorful, which is like why it's so refreshing to just have a crisp, cold one on a hot day. But if you're looking for something a little bit more elevated for your summer sipping, this would be a fantastic, fantastic option. So you can check them out and order their wines and find out where their wines are sold at evidencewines.com. Right now they have 10 beautiful, unique options. And like we said, it's definitely in a higher price point than we usually promote. But A, it fit the theme. And B, they really do look absolutely gorgeous. This is a Napa winery. You're getting some really nice, U.S. varietals from like one of the best growing regions in our country. So it's probably worth it, I would guess, if you want to get a nice bottle for a really like special occasion.
Oh my gosh. Are you on their website?
Yes.
First of all, the E in the evidence in their logo looks like the Chris Angel logo, which made me click on who, where, why we are. Go to who we are.
Yeah.
This man's hair.
Yeah. Totally like seems like surf boy hippie dude who got an apprenticeship.
Moved to Napa and yeah.
Yeah, he got an apprenticeship and then got super into winemaking. Yeah, he
and
looks
chunky
like
sweaters.
a total dork. I like a beach dork. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a cool brand.
Really cool, right?
Yeah.
I was stoked to come across it. I hope that they are. I mean, they look like they're crushing it. Their branding is gorgeous.
They are in Napa Valley. I just guessed.
I looked, baby. I looked.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah.
it's gorgeous. I
Yeah,
wanna go to
check them
Napa.
out. I'm drinking water because it's noon on Thursday and we are getting on a flight in 24 hours and I can't do anything to my body that will disrupt it.
Correct. I support that
Sorry.
decision. I am also drinking water, but my water has 2 different types of ice in it to keep it spicy.
Crushed and
ice
cubed.
and yes, ma'am.
Yeah, because you got that fuck ass fridge, that fancy ass fridge.
Ass fridge. It's so ridiculous.
Her on sale floor model, insane, like
It was
sentient
marked
refrigerator.
down. It's a smart fridge. It has a screen.
Yeah.
That is not what I was looking for. But even purchasing a 5-year warranty on it, it was still cheaper than like the fridge that I went there to get.
Yep.
It's like, okay.
Oh, hi, Ray.
I'll have a rotating digital gallery of Renaissance artwork on my fridge at all times. Why not?
Oh my God. Okay, Ray's presence reminds me, somebody, our friend Shay, hi Shay, texted me the other day and asked if Ray, since the arrival of June, has been a little bit more attached to you, because he's certainly been making a lot more appearances jumping on your shoulder during recording.
But the thing is, he loves to be around June too.
Yeah, they're homies.
He follows her around. They're always in the same room together. They snuggle in the morning. She hugs him and lays on him. And he just purrs.
He loves it.
He loves it. But yes, he is definitely attached to me, especially since I switched their new food. Okay, this is not an ad.
But
to Smalls. Good Lord. He
Yeah.
is all over that food. He is in love with me. He thanks me thousands of times every day.
yeah, I love it. Well, there you go, Shay. Confirmed.
Confirmed, Shay.
I love it. All right, let's take a quick break to hear a word from our sponsees, and then we'll dive into Fickle Forensics.
Let's do it.
As the temps keep rising, I've got that urge to refresh my closet, to have the nice, like, cool, clothing for the hot summer. But you know what? I'm over it with wasting money on pieces that you only wear once, like fast fashion, one season. We're done with that, okay? Quince changes that. Their clothes are timeless. They're lightweight. They are far more elevated than anything else at this price or in my closet, let me tell you. And it finally feels like my wardrobe is matching my standards.
Yeah, honestly, my wardrobe is higher than my general standards.
Same.
Quince has incredible pieces like 100% European linen shorts and dresses starting at $30.
Yup.
They've got luxe swimwear, Italian leather platform sandals, anyone?
So cute.
And so much more. I'm always in trouble when I browse their site.
I know.
But like minimal trouble because it's all incredibly affordable. Everything with Quince is half the cost of similar brands. By working directly with top artisans and cutting out the middlemen, Quince gives you luxury without that stupid markup. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes. One of my favorite things about Quince is that for each item, they will show you like what other brands would charge and then what they charge.
Yeah, you can see the savings in real time while you're shopping.
Yeah, it's incredible. Amanda and I just got back from Greece.
Sure did.
Most of my clothes were from Quince, and I got so many compliments, and a bunch of the people on our trip was like, oh my gosh, is that Quince? And I'm like, yes, use our promo code.
Sure was. So give your summer closet an upgrade with Quince. Go to quince.com/wine for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/wine to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/wine.
So my teeth were never really a part of my body that I thought that much about.
Nope.
But as I'm getting older, I'm realizing, oh, my mom has a lot of problems with her teeth. That means I'm probably going to have a lot of problems with my teeth. So I better start taking care of them right now. And one of my biggest problems personally is clenching my teeth and grinding them, especially at night when I don't even know what I'm doing. So if you're waking up with like a tense jaw or issues with your teeth, it might...
a headache even.
Yes, the headaches. It's time to do something about it. If you are part of the 30% of Americans who grind their teeth, then your smile needs protection. And there's no better solution than Remy's custom fit night guard. Both dentists and teeth grinders recommend Remy because a custom fit night guard is the best way to protect your teeth. And Remy is 80% less than the dentist and also way easier.
Amen to that.
You don't have to go to the dentist.
No, you do it at home. It's the best.
You do it at home. They send your impression kit straight to your door. They also give you really thorough step-by-step instructions to get your perfect impression. I had some difficulty with my impressions at first. They set me up with a real person to walk me through it. They made a video. They answered my questions. The customer service was unbeatable. Remy ships your custom fit night guard made in the U.S. in Las Vegas to your door. Get your night guard back and start protecting your teeth. This fits like a mouth glove.
I mean, it's custom made for you.
And they're so thin, you don't even know you're wearing it. It's not like, it's not like a set of braces at night. It's like incredibly comfortable and it helps. Trust me. The best part is Remy is so confident you'll get a perfect fit that they offer a 45-night perfect fit guarantee or you get your money back. Now is the time to try Remy. Don't risk your smile.
No, for real. No waiting rooms, no overpriced bills, just a better way to protect your teeth while you sleep. Try Remy risk-free at shopremy.com/gals and use code GALS to get up to 50% off your night guard at checkout. That's 50% off at shopremi.com/gals with code GALS. Thank you, Remy, for sponsoring this episode.
Is your cat having digestive issues?
Yes.
Do you wake up most mornings to find vomit somewhere on your floor?
Everywhere.
Or maybe your cat is simply in need of a diet upgrade? We've all been there. The vomiting issue was a big problem for me up until about a month ago.
Yep.
that said, you should definitely check out our next sponsor, Smalls.
Oh my gosh. Smalls cat food is the best. So if you've been following me on social media, I recently had a stray cat in my yard that I have now found a home. Her name is Meow. She's amazing. And I had to offer her some food. And so I was like, why not give this babe the best? And I gave her Smalls. She took it down. That girl was all about it. She went for the little treat packs. She went for the wet food. She was obsessed. It was amazing. These are protein-packed recipes made with preservative-free ingredients that you could find in your fridge. And it's all delivered right to your door. That is why Cats.com named Smalls their best overall cat food. And to get 35% off plus an additional 50% off your first order, head to Smalls.com and use our promo code GALS for a limited time only. Let me tell you, the switch over to Smalls from our like regular cat kibble for our sweet baby indoor girls was flawless, seamless. They immediately loved it. They were not sticking their little flat noses up at this food. They immediately made the switch. And Smalls was started back in 2017 by just a couple of folks home cooking cat food in small batches for their like beloved cats and their friends with beloved cats. And a few short years later, they've served millions of meals to cats across the United States. And again, the cats love this food. And at this point, you might just be wondering, why can't I just stick to the kibble? You know what? You could, but believe it or not, your cute kitty descended from ferocious desert cats who hunted live prey for food, and your cat really isn't that much different. They still need fresh protein and like nutritious packed meals to be at their best. And other cat food brands, they do know this, but a lot of them just choose to put the wallet first. It's like they choose to fill the foods with mysterious meat byproducts, artificial flavoring, preservatives with names that like you can't even pronounce. And, you know, they're eating that every meal, every day. Let's switch it up. After switching to Smalls, 88% of cat owners reported overall health improvements. We can definitely attest that the vomiting alone has reduced so much. And that in and of itself, big deal. And the team at Smalls is so confident that your cat will love their product. You can try it risk-free, and that means they'll refund you if your cat won't eat their food. But I'm telling you right now, they'll love it.
For a limited time only, because you are a Wine and Crime listener, you can get 35% off Smalls plus an additional 50% off your first order by using our code GALS. That's an additional 50% off when you head to smalls.com and use promo code GALS. Again, that's promo code GALS for an additional 50% off your first order plus free shipping at smalls.com.
All right, we're back. Lucy, what have you cooked up for your segment for Fickle Forensics? I'm very excited to see what rabbit holes you just followed.
Several.
Yeah.
This is one of those where I had to cut myself off because I was running out of time. Mm-hmm. I was only 90 seconds late to our recording. That is a miracle.
Yeah, you did great.
I feel like I did do great. But yes, the articles, the information, the intrigue, the rage, boundless with this particular topic.
Yeah, my case is brutal.
Yeah. So before we talk about Fickle Forensics, I have to share this article that I found on Pickle Forensics.
Okay. Interest peaked.
Get ready to go to the drive to look at these photos. Don't look at them yet.
Okay.
So this is from an article from the Lambert Post, which is the high school newspaper of Lambert High School in Sewanee, Georgia.
Named after Adam Lambert, who probably went there.
Probably. Actually, it was probably some Confederate something or other. I know his asshole is very close to my mouth. Okay.
Oh my God.
It's a very short article. It's more of a photo essay. It's from 2016. And the article reads, on Thursday, September 8th, groups of students from Mrs. McAllister's forensic science classes devised various types of model crime scenes consisting of deceased pickles.
Deceased. Okay.
Please go look at Pickle 1. The caption here is, this pickle bride was on the way to her honeymoon in Ecuador when she was suddenly stabbed to death on an airplane.
Oh my God, they made little corpses.
They made little dioramas of crime scenes and used pickles, and then they staged like evidence. And if you can read that sheet, the victim's name is Delilah. The incident occurred on September 3rd. And then the notes, I can just read out, slit throat, dress, veil.
Oh my God. I think it's cut off. I think it says like slit throat, blood. And maybe they're describing where the blood is on the dress and the veil.
On the veil.
I would have, for lack of a better word, killed to have an assignment like this in high school.
Yep. Okay. Go to pickle 2.
Okay.
This drug-addicted pickle overdosed on cocaine at a party.
Wait, I don't know if I'm on pickle 2 because my pickle looks like an old lady with legs and arms. Oh, it is.
Yep, that's that's pickle 2.
Yeah.
Hey, old ladies can be drug addicted and overdose on coke at a party.
You're totally right. She went out. She died the way she lived, on coke with what are those called? Q-tip arms and legs.
Yes.
Her little dress, her wonky eyes. They all have googly eyes.
I know.
And like cotton ball hair.
Pickle 3. During his shower, this pickle was brutally cut up by an intruding burglar.
Oh my God. He's
in a little bathtub.
A little bathtub. They made a shower head with pipe cleaners and a button. This is so clever.
Okay, pickle 4. I'm reading this verbatim. This is not my choice of words.
Pickle 4 looks like a tampon. Is that a noose?
Depressed and lonely, this pickle tied his noose and committed suicide.
Oh, poor pickle.
Poor pickle.
I like the use of toothpicks for the arms and legs.
Uh-huh.
I like that.
Yep. So those are the Fickle Forensics. And Pickle Forensics. Pickle Forensics. I think studying forensics in high school is actually genius. It's a great lesson in critical thinking.
And getting kids into science.
Yeah. And while forensics is pretty much applied science, and of course we like to think of science as like very fact-based, infallible, there is still a lot of room for error and subjective human assessment, which can bend the evidence in one direction or another. And actually, we very much overestimate the scientific accuracy of many forensic applications like hair, fingerprints. We've talked about bite mark analysis before. That's not reliable. Also, ballistics can be really subjective as well. So let's start with the forensic labs themselves because they can be the whole problem. This is from an article from the John Howard Society, which I had never heard of it. It's like it's a foundation that is committed to like educating regular people about the criminal justice system.
Oh, cool.
To avoid problems. Anyway, they just had a lot of really good like academic articles relating to like law, Canadian law, but still.
Sure.
Okay. A U.S. article in American Conservative reported on some of the many scandals in U.S. forensic labs, including those run by the FBI. That article contains this astounding comment, quote,
Watching Ray just assault you.
He is causing major problems.
You're trying to. He's just rubbing your headphones off.
He's really excited about his new food.
He is so happy.
I know.
I love him.
Oh my God. Okay. This astounding comment. In 2015, the Department of Justice, the FBI, the Innocence Project, and the National Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers released an alarming report that found a 90% error rate in 500 FBI cases that were reviewed by this team. Remarkably,
90%?
90% error rate.
So does that mean that 90% of them had errors in the investigation?
Yes. 90% of them, something was mishandled at some point. Remarkably, 26 of the 28 FBI hair analysis experts provided erroneous statements.
Oh, wow.
It's 26 of 28. I don't have time to get too much into hair analysis.
Right.
But it's like not reliable.
Mm-hmm.
Like if that's all you're going on, not great. Worst of all, several people were executed as a result of this evidence. Of the 35 cases that ended in a death penalty sentencing, 33 included erroneous statements from FBI staff.
We cannot have the fucking death penalty.
No.
It's too final.
Yeah.
And there are too many mistakes and biases in our justice system.
So many.
Fuck.
Another FBI report, and this was cited in a ProPublica article, found that, quote, hair examiners matched defendants to follicles in 268 trials. All but 11 of those contained scientific error.
Come on.
Only 11 out of 268 were like done properly. And analyzed properly.
Good God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I hate this.
Hair should be out the window with teeth, with bite marks.
Honestly, blood spatter's getting into that category too.
I mean, they all have problems.
Yeah.
Including DNA.
I don't mind them being included, but it can't be the only thing. Like it's only circumstantial unless there's other solid evidence to back up those claims. It can't be like the reason you bring a guilty verdict as a juror.
Yes, but a lot of this evidence is misrepresented to the jury. Well, we'll get to the expert witnesses, but like sometimes they just make shit up.
1000%. They absolutely do.
Yeah. And like statistics, like what are the odds that two people have this exact same kind of hair? 1 in 60 bickety billion. That's not
a thing.
You're just saying numbers.
Yeah. Fuck you.
I didn't even say a number. Okay, but I do want to talk about DNA. DNA was my first rabbit hole because I thought that I previously envisioned DNA as like very finite, very accurate.
Oh yeah, everybody kind of considers it a smoking gun, but I know we've covered a lot of cases over the years where DNA evidence has not been reliable.
It was horseradish.
Yeah. Could have been. We don't fucking know what it was on the nightgown.
I'm so hungry. Anything with horseradish sounds really good. I want a shrimp cocktail right now. No.
Let's wrap this up.
Yeah. I can't risk getting sick for tomorrow.
That's true.
So even local police forces are able to afford so-called rapid DNA machines. And so this machine is like the size of like an office print, like a big printer. And it develops a full DNA profile in like under 2 hours.
Okay.
So it is objectively a very useful tool. But the problem is they're relatively inexpensive, so everyone fucking has one.
Yeah.
So they can then plug that DNA profile into CODIS and scan for a match. These machines are sometimes called magic machines because, like I said, all sorts of people are able to use them, from local law enforcement to like firefighters identifying bodies like after a wildfire.
Sure.
And then all those genetic testing firms like Ancestry. Which, by the way, one of the, I think it was 23andMe, because they just filed for bankruptcy, I think, right?
I think so.
They had admitted that they were sharing / selling probably DNA profiles to pharmaceutical companies. So they could experiment on stuff and like develop new treatments based on genetic markers and blah, blah, blah.
Which, like, in theory, that all sounds great, but not without the consent of the person providing DNA. Consent is key.
The privacy issue, we'll get to the privacy issue, but like in a society where you do not have any privacy, there are a lot of basic rights that you don't have anymore. So people might think it's not that big of a deal, but it's a very slippery slope. Okay. In 2017, Trump signed the Rapid DNA Act into law, which amended the DNA Identification Act of 1994 to allow CODIS upload of DNA profiles generated outside an accredited forensic laboratory.
So
He's
like a
basically saying-
23andMe, an Ancestry.
He's basically saying that, like, cops can use this and upload their findings directly into CODIS without being in, like, a sealed lab to prevent contamination.
Okay.
So
Okay.
there's potentially all sorts of shitty, inaccurate DNA profiles being uploaded to CODIS, which everyone uses.
Yeah, specifically for crimes.
Yes.
Like, that's what CODIS is used for. It's not just a general database.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck. Great.
Once appropriate quality measures are put into place for jurisdictions which allow DNA testing on arrest, it's not all of them, it's creepily some of them, a lot of them, the law will allow for law enforcement to quickly query CODIS or other national databases with the DNA profile of an arrestee to ensure that they are not linked to unsolved crimes before releasing them on bail. So, like, just the tracking and the room for error and the consequences of those errors.
Well, and of course, Trump would be all about making
Tracking people.
making it as easy as possible to put data of any kind, whether it's accurate or not, into this system, because we live in a police state. We have long before Trump, but he's like really about it.
He's really about it. Really fucking about it. According to the Electronic Frontier Foundation, law enforcement use of rapid DNA tends to create quote, rogue databases. As, like I said, the collected samples and test results do not fit the guidelines for the FBI DNA database. There's no quality control. They're uploading whatever the fuck they want. And it doesn't fit the standards that we've already set. These machines have also been used, this is so gross, to identify, quote unquote, family unit fraud in immigrant communities.
What the fuck?
Meaning that they were using DNA to determine whether asylum-seeking adults traveling with children were actually biologically related or if they were just faking it. Or if they had kidnapped the kids.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, on top of that, these tests have been criticized as not being voluntary. They have to sign something. It's voluntary.
Right. But they're coerced or forced to sign off on shit that they don't understand.
If a person refuses the test, decisions about their amnesty could be affected.
There
and they're told that. If you don't sign this, then that's
might
going
not
to look
get
really
asylum.
bad for you.
Yeah.
Why aren't you signing this?
Coercion. Under deeply disturbing circumstances. I mean, these people are fleeing literal life and death to come here and then be like caged and persecuted and criminalized. It's so fucked up.
Oh, God, it's depressing. Okay. Here are some other limitations when it comes to DNA evidence. So environmental factors such as heat, sunlight, bacteria, and mold can destroy DNA evidence.
So things that exist literally everywhere. Great. Check.
Yep. Identical twins share identical DNA. So that has to be kind of factored in. Not that identical twins are super common, but
enough exists that it has to be.
It is a limitation.
Yeah,
it's
you have
a
to keep that
factor.
in mind.
DNA from close relatives is more similar than DNA from unrelated persons, and DNA cannot be used to determine when the suspect was at a crime scene.
Right.
So all of these things are potential holes that a defense attorney could poke in the prosecution's case. So DNA is effectively a new way for more people to be tracked, which has heavy implications on privacy. Not only that, but we have to be careful about how much credibility we give new technologies like this, because back in the Victorian days, fingerprint analysis was all the rage. And a great many assumptions were made about the accuracy and the uniqueness of a person's fingerprint. In 1788, the scientist J.C.A. Myers declared that patterns seemed unique, that, quote, the arrangement of skin ridges is never duplicated in two persons. So he was the first person to, like...
Say, it's as unique as a snowflake.
But
to guess what?
That.
That's not true.
It's not true. In the 19th century, people didn't really carry around, like, identification. And with cities becoming more and more packed with random people, strangers to each other, crime was on the rise. But how could you tell if a person was who they say they were? This was a very big problem, not only for identifying criminals in the first place, but also for identifying repeat criminals. Because they could just say, oh, my name's Jiminy Brown. This is my first time picking pockets. And then they let them off with a warning.
Right. There's no way to confirm who that person actually is.
Yeah. Or you could, like, pretend to be, like, a long-lost heir to a family fortune. They have no way of proving who you are. This is from a Smithsonian article, a really fantastic Smithsonian article. Honestly, show me a subpar article from Smithsonian Magazine.
Yeah, no, fair enough. They are cream of the crap.
Cream.
Cream.
Cream. Smithsonian's my side chick after Britannica.
100%.
Faced with this problem, police tried various strategies for identification. Photographic mugshots helped, because remember, that was first invented around this time.
Yeah, I mean, when photography was even, like, becoming a common, accessible science.
It was one of the first applications of photography was, like, mugshots.
Makes sense.
I know. But these photos were painstakingly slow to search through. Because you only have one.
Yeah, they don't have, and it's like in a book.
Yeah. Yeah, how would that ever be helpful? So yeah, it wasn't. In the 1880s, a French police official named Alphonse Bertillon created a system for recording 11 body measurements of a suspect. So, like, it was like, your brow ridge to the tip of your nose and your chin to the top of your lip. Like, those kinds of measurements were purported to be able to help people identify and, like, match people up.
Yeah, so they had some more, like, tried and true, at least for the time, kind of profoundly identifying marks of the facial features, other features of the body that could be cross-checked.
Yes, but like cross-checked, kind of. You'd still have to, it still only exists in one, which, like, yeah, okay. Okay, so the idea of fingerprints gradually dawned on several different thinkers sort of around the same time. One of these was Henry Folds, a Scottish physician. He was a Scottish fold.
I was just going to say.
Who was working as a missionary in Japan in the 1870s. One day, while sifting through shards of 2,000-year-old pottery, he noticed that the ridge patterns of the potter's ancient fingerprints were still visible, like, in the clay.
Cool.
Isn't that neat?
Yeah.
So he was like, well, that's really cool, like, kind of feeling linked to this person. So he began inking prints of his colleagues at the hospital and noticing, like, he just got kind of obsessed with fingerprints.
Yeah.
So he would take his coworkers' fingerprints, and then when he was looking at them all together, he noticed that they seemed to all be unique.
Cool.
But they're only, like, how many people in your office?
Right. But it's still a cool discovery. I mean, fingerprint evidence is still, like, relevant. You just have to, again, it's not a smoking gun. It's a support. It's a potential support.
Yeah, but it deserves all of the scrutiny
that any other evidence deserves. Yeah, 100%. Yep.
The Scottish Folds even used prints to solve a small office crime. Ooh. This is like some Dwight Schrute stuff.
Obsessed.
An employee was stealing alcohol from the hospital and drinking it in a beaker.
All right,
Folds located a print left on the speaker, matched it to a print he'd taken from one of his colleagues, and he identified the culprit.
And was he right? Did they cop to it?
Well, I mean, I don't know.
Let's assume yes.
This might just sort of be like a little anecdote. I don't know.
Little game, little office game.
But how reliable were these prints? Could a person's fingerprints change? To find out, Scottish Folds and some students scraped off their fingerprint ridges. They scraped their fingerprints.
God. Yeah.
And discovered that they grew back in exactly the same pattern.
All right. That's interesting. Because I do think about that, actually. And I've thought about that this week in particular because there was drama with my continuous glucose monitor refill pickup. Okay. So all that said, my fingers are like purple from fucking finger pricking, limping my way through not having my device. And I'm like, I wonder if I'm just like destroying my fingerprint pattern by fucking stabbing my goddamn fingers over and over again. Maybe over time with callus growth and things like that could affect.
Well, I'm reminded of the movie Seven when Kevin Spacey walks in and he cut off his fingerprints. Didn't he cut off his fingertips?
Yeah, or like burned his fingertips off or some shit.
Something. And then also Will Smith, Men in Black, when he touches that orb and it burns him off.
Yeah.
But I don't think it really works like that. If you cut deep enough, probably.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think what I remember from our fingerprints episode is that the reason why you have it is because that your fingertips is the last part that your dermis grows on. So it's almost like the seam for your skin. Like that's where it ends. That's where it kind of grew together on your fingertip.
Interesting. Gross. Hate that.
Yeah. Because like dog noses are the same way. And then like rat tails are also that. I don't remember. I'll have to go back and re-listen to our episode. Just kidding. I won't do that. I hate listening to our old episodes.
The sound quality was so rough.
So rough.
But that fingerprint analysis episode was really fascinating because we talked to those experts, which was cool.
Yeah. And they taught me how to do an analysis of the loops and the whorls, and I was really good at it.
Yeah, you were really good at it.
God, maybe I will go back and listen to that. I need to boost my ego when it comes to my own fingerprint analysis prowess.
Do it.
Okay, back to the Scottish Folds. When he examined children's development over 2 years, he found that their prints stayed the same. So even when they're
growing,
babies growing. By 1880, he was convinced and wrote a letter to the journal Nature arguing that prints could be a way for police to deduce identity. The fingerprint thing, very great in theory, but like we've talked about, it's impractical for wide usage. Then in 1897, I'll never say this again, a very smart police officer who was living in British India, which is now Bangladesh. His name was Khan Bahadur Qazi Azizul Haq. Very long name. So he's known as Azizul Haq.
Okay.
He devised a mathematical formula to sort fingerprints into 1,024 little subcategories that were listed in 32 columns and 32 rows based on fingerprint patterns.
Okay.
So he mapped out all of these subclassifications of fingerprints based on their characteristics, like, I mean, that's a lot.
And
where the loops and the whorls are and how they're connected in relation to each other. And you could go on this chart and like go down this way and then over this way. And then
it's pretty
that
remarkable
narrowed down
to think about an individual mind doing what now like only a computer system would bother doing. Like analyzing that and sorting that kind of data is what computers do now.
Yeah. He was a mathematical
genius.
I have a picture of him on the drive.
Cool.
Okay. So you were able to find a match ostensibly within like 5 minutes.
Wow.
And also this chart could be like printed and distributed. All it was it was just a way of sorting two different fingerprints.
Yep.
As an easy means of comparison.
Yeah, here's what you look for. Here's how you compare them.
And because there were over 1,000 of these subclassifications, the odds of accuracy was way better.
Yeah, I mean,
than
it really makes you think about, like, again, this individual's brilliant mind that then provided so much ease of operation, like taking something that wasn't simple, but analyzing it to such a thorough degree by himself. I'm just like so blown away by this.
Well,
it's so meticulous.
He did work with other people, but it's my understanding that he was the one who manifested the concept in the first place.
Yeah.
But of course, white dudes did what white dudes do, and credit for Aziz-ul Haq's method was given to a guy named Edward Henry, who then called it the Henry classification system, which is still used today.
No. Boo.
But either way, these guys were solving crimes like hotcakes using this system. So a cute example that I found. When career criminal Benjamin Brown was arrested for pickpocketing, he first tried to claim it was his first offense, like the example we talked about before.
Yep.
But then they matched him using the chart, and he reportedly said, quote, "Bless the fingerprints. I knew they'd do me in."
All right. Accepting it. Good for him.
I knew they'd do me
in. Blast these fingerprints.
Well, he said bless.
I know, but I changed it to blast.
Oh, okay. It sounds editorialized at some point in time, but I'm going with it. Everyone assumed fingerprint forensics was completely objective, totally based in science and like hard-nosed facts.
Right.
Quote, yet it also became clear over time that fingerprinting wasn't as rock solid as boosters would suggest. Police experts would often proclaim in court that no two people have identical prints, even though this has never been proven or even carefully studied. It's not proven. It is not a proven fact.
It's assumed.
It's assumed by everyone.
Yeah.
Although
there are clearly enough differences for there to be some level of identification, but that doesn't mean no two people have the same loops and whirls.
Ugh, no. It hasn't even been researched to a large degree.
No.
It's just
an
assumption.
Wild. It is wild how, like, all it takes is a couple of confident people, typically men, to make a statement like that for it to just be accepted globally.
Yeah.
As assumed truth. Because certainly before we got into this gig, I had all kinds of thoughts in my head about forensics and fingerprint analysis and blood spatter and the justice, so many things. And to actually, after all these years of continually, week after week looking at these cases, and a common thread being frequent miscarriages of justice, fuck ups, human error. It just is, it's astonishing
It's
how so many people still cling to the finality of evidence. Yeah. And that's not to say that evidence isn't crucial, because it is. It's just how many people have been put away because of a fingerprint.
I think it all ties back to just the human nature and our desire to be sure about something.
1,000%.
That's why we have religion.
Yeah.
That's why we have the concept of faith. We feel safe when we're absolutely sure about something. And so, yeah, people were just eager to say that, yes, this is the case. And that's just how it is now.
Wow.
Yet, quite apart from these scientific claims, police fingerprinting was also simply prone to error and sloppy work. The The real problem is that fingerprinting experts have never agreed on, quote, a way of measuring the rarity of an arrangement of friction ridge features in the human population.
Mm-hmm.
How many points of similarity should two prints have before the expert analyst declares that they're the same? Mm-hmm. Is it 8? Is it 10? Is it 20?
There isn't also, like a standard?
Nope. Depending on what city you're tried in, the standards can vary dramatically. They might have standards across their jurisdiction, but it is not it's not standardized across the board. And to make matters more complex, when police lift prints from a crime scene, they are often incomplete and unclear.
Yeah.
You're not going to get 5 perfect fingerprints from a crime scene.
Right.
And so then you might be comparing the left side of your left middle finger versus the right side of your left middle finger, you know? And then it's for anyone to sit there and say, I'm absolutely, absolutely sure about this is like
bullshit.
That's a red flag right there. Mm-hmm. People are also just fucking sloppy. When a detective takes a DNA sample from a crime scene, there's almost always going to be some kind of residual other material.
Yeah. That's so common.
Likely even DNA of someone else's DNA that is totally unrelated. It's just there because people exist in the world. And then they just go plug that shit into their magic machine in the back room at the precinct. There's no way the machine is going to parse out what's relevant and what's not. So not only are the cops not properly trained to avoid contamination, and when some police forces are routinely asking for DNA samples from citizens after a traffic stop. Again, we're just building up these databases of potentially very flawed data.
Right.
And the more flawed it is, the more wiggle room for people to use this as evidence against something that simply is not true. So we've talked about chain of custody before, and that is especially important for the defense in a criminal trial because, as we've demonstrated, the system has its flaws. Expert witnesses in forensics are very handy because they can point out flaws as well as offer alternative explanations for how samples, this is why the person's DNA is on, it might sound like this is a smoking gun, but here are 6 reasons why that could have been there.
Right.
Including cross-contamination from the investigators themselves. Okay. So as we're moving further into a world where everyone is being surveilled, the question of facial recognition accuracy is growing.
Bro.
The FBI has a whole unit of so-called image examiners. So this is a team of about 6 technicians who analyze pictures down to their pixels, trying to determine if the faces, hands, clothes, or cars of suspects match images collected by investigators from cameras at crime scenes. The subjectivity for things like this is astounding.
And it's been stated that this camera technology that's so prevalent because, part of living in a police state is being in a surveillance state, that these technologies struggle more with identifying people of color than they do with white people. This is a known thing. And so there are many more mix-ups and wrongful accusations against people of color who are already more fucking targeted by the state by saying, oh, we got, you showed up in this facial recognition database or whatever. We got you on camera. And it's that's not even fucking me.
The technology is biased.
Yes. Because it has not been developed to properly capture and analyze darker skin tones. The fuck?
That's true in the history of film
It's true
from
in
the
everything.
beginning.
It's true in makeup. It's true in medical products. It's true in Band-Aids. It's true in camera technology. It's true in fucking everything. It's true in tattooing. It's true in so many different aspects of art, image capture. People are like, why do you always talk about racism? And it's like, well, because it's fucking everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Like when it's gone.
It's everywhere. It's in everything.
Man, when it's gone, we won't have to fucking talk about it so much anymore. But that's our work to do.
Sorry for pointing out the oxygen in the room.
Yeah, seriously.
What? What are you talking about? Do you not see this?
Grow up.
Grow up. God.
A lot of people really don't see it.
I know.
People really don't see it. Which is intentional.
It's intentional, and it's also just really pathetic.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay.
Yup.
Speaking of rabbit holes, Jesus Christ.
Really?
Okay. This is from a 2019 ProPublica article. So this is we started with the facial recognition technology. I'm going back. I'm going back to the 90s for just a hot minute because it is still image analysis.
100%.
Without being like digital images. So a bank robbery trial 16 years ago was a watershed for such testimony, meaning image expert testimony. Prosecutors charged an ex-convict with robbing a string of banks across South Florida over 2 years. Richard Vorder-Brugge, an FBI
bagels.
Brugge's beggars, an FBI image examiner told jurors that the button-down plaid shirt found in the defendant's house was the exact shirt on the robber in black and white surveillance pictures.
How can you know that if the picture is black and white? How do you know it was the same color shirt?
They probably had witness testimony to say it was a red shirt, but that's not the point here. The examiner said that he matched lines in the shirt patterns at 8 different points along the seams. So you can look at the picture that I have on the drive. It'll help you kind of picture this a little bit better.
Okay.
Plaid shirt 2.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So the seams on the shoulder where the stripes line up. He took the shirt that they had in real life that they found in the defendant's home. He's saying that he matched it at all these points where the two pieces of material meet, and like where the lines meet against each other.
They really don't look the same as the surveillance photo.
He said that proves it. The prosecutor asked Brugger's beggars what were, quote, the odds in which 2 shirts would be randomly manufactured by the company, having all those 8 points of identification lining up exactly the same. Brugger's said only 1 in 650 billion shirts would randomly match so precisely, give or take a few billion. That's the number that he gave.
That's nonsense.
To the jury.
That's not analysis or stats at all. That's just nonsense.
Prosecutors had presented jurors with days of circumstantial evidence against the ex-convict, a guy named Wilbert McCreath, before Brugger's took the stand. Witnesses had seen a burgundy-colored sedan similar to McCreath's Mercedes-Benz outside a majority of the robberies. And McCreath had made cash purchases totaling about $10,000 during the period the robberies occurred. Even though he had no steady income, he claimed that he borrowed money from his parents. It doesn't matter. It's all circumstantial.
Right.
But when the jury convicted McCreath, who is now serving a 92-year prison sentence.
He looks old in this. If this is him in the surveillance photo, like he'll die in prison.
I don't know how. Well, probably if it's a 92-year prison sentence anyway.
For sure, regardless, yeah. But this guy doesn't look young in the surveillance footage either.
Yeah. I don't know how old he was when he was arrested. Vorder-Brugge's photo comparison and statistics were the only evidence that directly connected the defendant to the crime scene. The statistics were also preposterous, according to 7 statisticians and independent forensic scientists.
Yeah, who were like, that's not real stats.
Yeah. The features that Vorder-Brugge matched might be common in plaid shirts, making them of little value for identifying the garment, says Karen Kafader, chair of the statistics department at the University of Virginia. So she would fucking know.
Yeah.
No one has studied the alignment of lines on men's button-down shirts. There is no database of shirt features allowing Vorder-Brugge to calculate the probability of a random match.
No.
A statistic used to explain results from DNA typing.
He pulled that number out of his ass.
Out of his ass.
Yeah.
Kafader has worked in forensic science validation for the past 2 decades, contributing to a groundbreaking study at the FBI's bullet-lead analysis. She said that Vorder-Brugge's statements are brazen.
Yep.
Quote, somehow they feel perfectly entitled to make outrageous statements, she said. She also said the 1 in 650 billion claim, quote, makes about as much sense as the statement 2 + 2 = 5.
Correct. And this is why I feel like something like that forensics project in like public school biology, pickles, could be really impactful because anybody can be a juror. You could be called at any time. You don't need any...
For any kind of crime.
For any kind of crime. There's no kind of preliminary review of expertise that would make you specifically, qualified to sit on a jury. And so
they can cut you out, but they don't select from the populace.
That initial swath, maybe they'll find out that information when you've already been called and you start the selection process, but that's not how you're called for jury duty. So any rando can sit on a jury, potentially, right? And all you have as a juror is what the prosecution and the defense are telling you, including their expert witnesses. And so it is so egregious to me that there isn't more consequence or precaution or law. Like, how is that not perjury? How is getting up on the stand as a quote unquote expert witness and absolutely spouting nonsense figures to support whatever your claim is, whether it's the defense or the prosecution? How is that not lying under oath? Like,
and people have like the what's it called? CSI syndrome. If you are on a jury, you hear these stats and you see like forensic evidence, DNA evidence. And you're like, of course that's accurate.
Yeah.
I can't even, there's nothing to question. But because we watch these shows and that's the case in these shows, that is not the case
reality.
In the real world.
No.
But
to be able to teach the public about that could be really impactful, which is probably why we don't fucking do it.
Yeah. Right. Educate the public?
Oh.
No.
Not this. You got a lot to learn about this town, sweetie.
That would be
America.
That would be in their own best interests. We're not doing that. Okay. Research has bolstered some of the image unit's practices. So back to the FBI image unit. Last year, a federal study determined that professional image examiners matched faces more accurately than untrained students, providing the first scientific basis for a photograph comparison field. Okay, good job. You do it better than people
Someone
off the
with
street.
no training. Yeah, like that sounds so stupid to me.
But that is...
Cats are better at landing on their feet than dogs. Okay.
But that's the first time that had been studied and determined and like documented. That was in 2018, because I think this is a 2019 article.
It's so embarrassing.
However, in the past 6 years, FBI examiners participated in preliminary tests on techniques for identifying faces and hands in pictures with skin features. So like freckles, folds, and creases.
Yeah,
moles and
identifying
blemishes.
markers.
In both participants could not consistently mark the features to use in an analysis. They marked a certain number of creases or freckles on a face or hand the first time, and then came up with completely different counts the next time.
Weird.
You're not going to accurately count all the freckles on the right cheek of the same person in a photograph.
Right? And good luck counting my folds. Old rubber face hasn't looked the same in 2 fucking pictures since the day I was born. I have to make a very specific face for my phone's Face ID to know who the fuck I am.
Do it. Do the face.
I have to be completely
lax,
completely expressionless.
I don't know why your totally lax face looks nothing like you.
It doesn't.
None of your faces look like. What the? No, get that stranger off the screen.
I know. Who the fuck is that?
Not my best friend.
That's the only girl this phone knows. If I like smile,
Yeah, good
at
luck,
all,
image
they're
unit.
Like, who's this bitch?
Oh my god.
Yeah, I have to go into my
Your eyes are like a little bit big.
Oh yeah, I've definitely had like I'll do this, and then it won't recognize me, so I have to be like.
You have to like threaten it a little bit.
Yeah, I have to like look down toward it a little bit, and then it'll be like, okay, bitch, I'll open up. Jesus Christ. 9 times out of 10, I'm just using my passcode because she has
knows?
She has
Who
no
knows
clue
what
who
you
I
look
am.
like?
She has no clue who I am. And it gets really annoying because my T-Slim app that I can deliver insulin through my pump from my phone also struggles with my Face ID, but it makes you try it twice before it'll let you do your passcode. So I'll be like,
Jesus Christ.
it's, girl,
That's so annoying.
my struggle. I struggle.
Yeah.
This face.
I see that.
His face is very unique.
Oh my God. It sure is. It sure is.
God bless her.
Okay. So last little bit, those studies found alarming inconsistency. If examiners cannot mark the same features each time they use a technique, quote, then you can't rely on the result. I think that's what any statistician would say, said David Kay, a Penn State University law professor and expert on DNA analysis, quote, it's not a reliable measure.
No, it's like there's 1 in 690 billion chance, give or take a few billion, that it's that guy. Or that it's not that guy.
Right.
I don't know. Who am I?
Where
are we?
My phone doesn't know. Don't ask her.
Don't ask her.
Okay.
She does not know me.
No. She does not know me. And I don't know her.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I don't know that girl.
Holy shit. That was a lot of disturbing but really important to discuss information.
Yeah.
Good job.
Just don't trust anything or anyone. That's my takeaway. Well, special thanks. You can't trust anything.
Yeah. It's giving Bridesmaids.
Just think critically, educate yourself.
Think
If
critically.
you do find yourself on a jury, just don't convict. Be safe.
I mean, that's not what we're saying.
No.
I would
It's
recommend, I mean, we've said this a lot recently, and I think it's just, important to remember that, like, the job of the prosecution is to convince you, the juror, beyond a reasonable doubt that the person, in question committed the crime.
Yeah.
And so one piece, even a couple pieces of potentially not reliable, subjectively analyzed, improperly handled evidence might not be enough to prove to you beyond a reasonable doubt. And don't be pressured by getting it done quick or, really take that shit seriously. And when, witnesses that are experts disagree, take both of those analyses into account and try your best as a layman. Because again, we're not trained. We're supposed to be able to trust what people on the stand are telling us. But now we know definitively that there's some bullshit analysis that goes to trial. A lot of bullshit analysis that goes to trial.
Yeah, a lot.
And it ruins people's lives. And it does not bring justice to the victims of those crimes, period.
And on that note, I remember when I was in my jury duty, the defendant, it was a drunk driving thing. The defendant he just came off as like a old man with a chip on his shoulder and just an asshole. So I didn't like him. But, well, okay, so then we're deliberating in the jury room, and they were like, it was me and one other woman who had had a bad experience with cops, and she just did not trust the police. And I was I just kept saying, like, it's the beyond
doubt.
That's what the cops weren't proving. And they were like, I don't get why you don't think the guy did it. And I was like, I do think he did it.
That's not what our job is.
But that's not what our job is. But as soon as I said, I do think he did it, they were all like, wow, then what are we doing here? I'm like,
our job.
That's not the question.
Yeah.
The cops are just saying, we're taking the cops' word for it. That was my main problem.
Yeah. And statistically should be.
Yeah.
Like, empirical evidence just backs up we should be critical of what these fucking people are saying to us, even in a courtroom.
Yeah. Be very, very critical.
So, yeah, I've never been called for jury duty. I do not want it.
You never will.
I mean, even
Not
if
at this point.
even if I am called, they'd never
gonna,
put me on a jury. They would dismiss me in the first round. I have a fucking true crime podcast. There's no way.
Yeah.
There's no fucking way. But it's a hard job.
It's still kind of fun if you are called, because you get to wear an outfit and go to the courtroom and wait in a waiting room for a really long time. And then you get to watch a video on like your civic responsibility. And that's just kind of fun.
Totally.
And then the lawyers ask you the questions, and then they
kick you out.
Leave.
Kick me out. All right. Let's hear another quick word from our sponsors and then come back and dive into my case.
Sounds great.
Mudwater, I gotta say, has definitely been a game changer for me. I am not a morning person, and my husband is a huge coffee guy, but he makes his coffee like jet fuel. Like, I cannot drink it. It upsets my stomach so much. It gives me really bad jitters. It's just like way too much, but I still need my energy in the morning. I need, some balance. I need some energy, and I want it to be easy. Okay, so Mudwater has got you covered. You've got a cozy mix of cacao, chai, turmeric, and adaptogenic mushrooms that help you feel focused and balanced, but not wired, which I really, really appreciate. And I will drink it hot or cold. I'll put the hot water kettle on and then put it in my mug and just mix it in. Or if I'm, in the summer months right now, I like to just do it with regular water and then a little bit of almond milk over ice.
Yum.
It feels like a special treat from the coffee shop, and it's so tasty. And then I get that awesome sustained energy without like spikes and then an afternoon crash. And if you just want that little morning treat without like all the caffeine, they also have caffeine-free blends available. So they really have everything that you could ever want.
Ready to make the switch to cleaner energy? Head to mudwater.com and grab your starter kit today. Right now, our listeners get an exclusive deal up to 43% off your entire order, plus free shipping and a free rechargeable frother.
I love the frother.
When you use code GALS. That's right, up to 43% off with code GALS at mudwtr.com. After you purchase, they'll ask how you found them. Please support our show and let them know we sent ya. Keep your energy natural and refreshing all year long with Mudwater, because life's too short for anything less than clean, delicious energy.
Y'all know I'm a sweaty Betty. I'm specifically a night sweater. I get really hot at night, and then it really disrupts my sleep. And it's summer. The weather is heating up. Your nighttime bedroom temperature has a massive impact on your sleep quality. So if you're like me and you're waking up too hot, or a lot of folks just waking up too cold, especially with like the AC blasting, I highly recommend you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets, because Miracle Made sheets are inspired by NASA and use silver-infused fabrics that are temperature regulating, so you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long.
Not only is that NASA technology perfect for the temperature regulation, These sheets are infused with silver that prevent up to 99.7% of bacterial growth. That means they stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than like regular run-of-the-mill bed sheets.
Yep.
So your bedroom's not going to smell like a boys' dormitory after a couple weeks. And these really do feel like high tech. Using silver-infused fabrics inspired by NASA, women in STEM, Miracle-Made sheets are thermoregulating and designed to keep you at the perfect temperature all night long, no matter whether if it's too hot or too cold or just whatever, or just like, they just keep you at a great body temperature. Then it's something that you won't even notice because you'll just sleep through the night and get better sleep.
If you live in the Midwest, these are a must. Our temperature fluctuations are bizarre.
It's so hot at night, kind of cold in the morning, and every which way in between. And yeah, stop sleeping on bacteria. Bacteria can clog your pores, causing breakouts and acne, not just on your face, on your whole bod.
Yup.
So sleep clean with Miracle. Miracle sheets are luxuriously comfortable without that high price tag of other luxury brands, and they feel as nice, if not nicer, than sheets used by some 5-star hotels. I am shocked at the cost of these sheets because they could easily be twice as much.
Yeah. And we've been sleeping on these for years now. And like we wash them frequently. They have not lost their like softness or their comfort at all.
They're my favorite sheets to come up in the laundry rotation.
Yeah, I'm really, really impressed with the quality, I gotta say. So upgrade your sleep as the weather heats up. Go to trymiracle.com/gals to try Miracle-Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code GALS at checkout, you'll get a free 3-piece towel set and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. Upgrade your sleep with Miracle-Made. Go to trymiracle.com/gals and use the code GALS to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/gals to treat yourself. And thank you, Miracle-Made, for sponsoring this episode. Telehealth is honestly a miracle. It's made mental health care so much more convenient and accessible for millions of people. And if you're like me, I'm an ADHD girly. I have a really hard time with scheduling in-person appointments, and just having things be easy and accessible is truly the number one way to keep me consistently in therapy. Like I'm gonna struggle otherwise. But critical challenges like finding a suitable therapist, scheduling appointments, the expensive out-of-pocket costs, those still keep a lot of folks from getting the care that they need. So Rula is on a mission to make high-quality mental health care from a licensed professional easy and affordable for everyone. Rula's really got you covered. They take most major insurance plans, and the average copay is only $15 per session. And you can now get the quality care that you need when you need it at a price that you can afford. And Rula really isn't just affordable. They stick with you throughout your entire journey. They make sure that you're getting the best therapy and that you're making progress. I need that kind of accountability in my therapy. If I don't have goals that people are following up with me about,
checking in on you,
baby, I'm not gonna achieve them. But with Rula, every provider is carefully vetted and chosen for their expertise. So you'll always know you're in the hands of quality providers who are dedicated to making real progress in your care. The first step on your journey to mental well-being is real easy with Rula. Rula starts by asking you a few questions about what's important to you and then provides a list of licensed in-network providers who match your preferences. So you can really find someone that's going to match what your needs are. And then you can schedule your preferred time and meet with your therapist as soon as the next day, which is genuinely life-saving in a lot of scenarios.
Go to rula.com/gals to get started today. That's RULA.com/gals for convenient therapy that is covered by insurance. Thousands have already trusted Rula to support them on their journey toward improved mental health and overall well-being. Head on over to rula.com/gals to get started today. After you sign up, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent ya. Go to rula.com/gals and take the first step towards better mental health today. You deserve quality care from someone who cares.
Okay, so like I said earlier, this case is pretty brutal. Because it involves a child, I didn't go into like all of the detail because that doesn't super matter in how this case is presented. And it's not necessary. I don't need to get gratuitous with what happened to this kid.
Yeah.
But it is fucking heartbreaking. So here we go.
Ray's trying to get at my cheese curds.
Oh, don't ever let that happen.
Not today, Ray.
For this case, we have to go back to October 13th, 1997.
It was a great year.
Wasn't it? Not for this family, but in general, pretty good year.
Okay.
In the quiet town of Lawrenceville, Illinois, Julie Ray, a single mother pursuing her doctorate in educational psychology, was jolted awake around 4:30 a.m. to the sound of a blood-curdling scream.
Uh-oh.
It was her 10-year-old son, Joel.
Oh, my God.
Julie ran to his room, and she found his bed empty, but encountered a man in a ski mask in the bedroom.
No.
According to Julie, who had a black belt in Taekwondo, yes, girl.
Yes.
She struggled with the intruder, chasing him through the house and into the backyard. It was like chaos. He got a hold of her. I think she had like grabbed his leg. It was dragged for a little while. He got a hold of her and like slammed her head to the ground, trying to like knock her out so he could get away. And then he fled.
And just trying to protect your child.
Yep.
Ugh, I can't imagine that.
Hysterical and injured. She had a black eye. She had rug burns. She had a wound requiring stitches. She had scratches. Like, she was pretty beat up. Yeah. She ran to a neighbor's for help because she thought that Joel had been kidnapped. Like, he knocked her head on the ground. She doesn't hear her son. She's totally panicked. She thinks this guy has snatched her son and left the house. So she goes to the neighbors to call the police. When Deputy Sheriff Dennis York arrived and searched her house, Joel was found. He was on his bedroom floor, stabbed 12 times, including twice through his aorta, and he died. The murder weapon was at the scene. It was a steak knife that had been pulled from the butcher block in Julie's kitchen.
Oh my God.
The initial investigation was, by multiple accounts, flawed.
Weird.
Yeah, who'da thunk? Investigators claimed they couldn't find obvious signs of forced entry to support Julie's, recollection of an intruder, so they brushed off her story as false. But in reality, they had simply failed to perform basic police work. Joel's bedroom was not dusted for fingerprints. Neither was the butcher block that the knife came from. Critical trace evidence on Joel's bedspread was not preserved. They had just put their focus on Julie, saying that
she killed her own son.
She killed her son. They went so far looking for signs that she had cleaned up blood. They dug up her septic tank. They inspected drains. They doused the place in luminol. They found nothing
the fuck
to show that she had cleaned up blood. The blood that was showing up was the blood from the attack on her son. There was no evidence that she had tried to clean up anything. There was no discernible motive for her to have attacked her son. She had no history of mental illness, no criminal record. Friends and family just were adamant that she was a caring and attentive parent, that this would not have happened.
It always blows my mind when we cover a case where the cops come up with a theory, even if it's so fucking dumb, and they will stop at nothing.
Yep.
You won't dust for fingerprints from the knife block where you know the knife came from? Don't you want to prove it was her? Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Well, and even if they did dust for fingerprints and Julie's prints are on them, it's in her kitchen.
Yeah.
We're looking for somebody else's fucking prints. The intruder that she said was in her house.
Holy shit.
It's such bullshit. Despite the lack of evidence and complete lack of motive, the investigation lingered for 3 years. So she's at home for 3 years, not able to leave because they're continuing to try and find evidence against her.
Oh my God.
Then in 2000, a special prosecutor appointed after the elected state's attorney declined the case because that state's attorney was like, there's not enough evidence. I'm not taking this case. So a new special prosecutor was found who was like, yeah, I'll take it. So this new special prosecutor takes the case to a grand jury. And on the eve of the 3rd anniversary of Joel's murder, Julie Ray is indicted for the capital murder of her own son.
On the anniversary?
Right before, like the day before, like the 12th.
Oh my God. They're fucking evil.
Yeah, and it's capital murder. So she could have been facing the death penalty.
Yeah.
Facing
oh my God.
capital charges, Julie sought the protection of new Supreme Court reforms requiring 2 qualified attorneys for death penalty cases and access to funding for investigators to probe innocence claims. But prosecutors dropped the death penalty. They took the death penalty off the table. So the fact that she wasn't facing the death penalty blocked her access to all of those critical resources.
Ugh.
At her trial in 2002, without eyewitness or strong physical evidence, the prosecution relied heavily on a forensic discipline that had helped win circumstantial cases before, Bloodstain-Pattern analysis.
Okay.
This field, as we know, is based on the belief that bloodstains at a crime scene can be analyzed to reconstruct events. And to a degree, it can. But again...
Duane Deaver. I almost talked about Duane Deaver.
It's very subjective. And different experts can come up with wildly different theories and reasoning behind why certain smears or blots or spatter or whatever are there. So it's not a smoking gun forensic science.
Definitely not.
So I mean it just has been unreliable in many cases historically. Like we know this.
Yeah.
The prosecution called 2 Bloodstain-Pattern analysts. Rod Englert, a retired police detective, performed a lengthy demonstration using theatrical blood for the jury. Which, like, is already going to be a red flag to me. Like, if you're coming in with all the bells and whistles to try and convince me of this theory, when you can't just give me the fucking facts and have that be enough to hold this up, I'm going to be critical of that.
The fingerprint, the beautiful Smithsonian article, talked about how the advent of fingerprint evidence was sort of the beginning of, like, the courtroom shock and awe.
100%.
Like the 3-ring circus. They would, like, take fingerprints in the courtroom and, like, show them.
Yeah.
Stupid.
He testified that the crime scene was, quote, staged and manipulated and, quote, not consistent with her story of a struggle. He saw, quote, no indication that there was a third party in this residence at all, based on his examination and experience. The task of interpreting a tiny smear of Joel's blood that was found on Julie's t-shirt fell to state crime scene investigator Dexter Bartlett. Bartlett told the jury that this blood could not have transferred onto her shirt, but was more consistent with her wiping off a weapon. He offered no proof, no experiments, no data, and no methodology for this conclusion. Just came in and said, this is what this looks like to me.
Great.
The defense.
That's great.
Yeah, I know. Okay. So that's fact now. The defense called its own expert, Paul Kish, who testified that his microscopic examination suggested Joel's blood had transferred onto the shirt. He noted the blood rested on top of the fibers, so he's bringing actual evidence-based backing for his conclusion into the courtroom. He did testing of the evidence and actually analyzed it. He noted that the blood rested on top of the fibers, unlike blood cast off from wiping a weapon, which would penetrate the fabric weave because of pressure on the fabric.
Can I cut it?
Julie's public defender, Brad Vaughn, argued to the jury that the state's experts' claims were unverified and not scientific because they hadn't conducted experiments to test their conclusions, which the jury should have taken in deeply.
Yeah.
But if, that's the thing about the whole courtroom circus, like the prosecution, it sounds like, came in with a fancy way to present the evidence, whereas Paul Kish came in with the facts. Again, why you need to watch Parks and Rec? It fucking reminds me of when they're pushing to get fluoride in the water, but the town is like, I don't want fluoride in my water. What the fuck is fluoride? And so they come in with this flashy presentation about like sparkle water and like accumulating points. And like they do all this crazy shit. And then people are like,
accumulating points.
The people are like, hell yeah, I want sparkle water. They have no fucking clue what it is, but they want it because of the way that it was presented. It's like,
I want it.
I do too. It just, the shit pisses me off. So the prosecution also sought to cast Julie as a bad mother. Her ex-husband, who doesn't sound like the best dude, we circle back to him later, testified that she had considered an abortion years earlier.
Oh my God.
Which is totally relevant to how she parents her living child.
Yeah, what a stupid fucking thing to say.
It's a stupid fucking thing to say, and she completely denied that. She's like, I don't recall ever discussing with you considering an abortion.
Who said this?
She said. Julie was like, no, that didn't fucking happen.
Who accused her? Who said the thing about the abortion?
Her ex-husband and the father of Joel.
Oh, okay.
Was like, she's not a good mom. She even wanted to have an abortion once a while back. And she was like, that's not true. Neighbors described her as erratic or cold, but only after the crime. So they were interviewed after the crime.
Oh.
And it's like, okay, she's basically on house arrest with the looming prospect of capital murder of her own son while no one is out here trying to find who actually killed him. I'd probably be a little fucking erratic or cold too.
Yeah.
These claims in court were largely unchallenged as Julie's attorney advised her not to testify, which like is pretty common, but sometimes I do think it's important for the defendant to take the stand if they're truly prepared to do so. It's usually the fear of cross-examination that they want to avoid doing that, which is
super valid.
It is valid, but like her testimony, I think, would have been impactful, and we'll get to it as this case unfolds. So despite the defense challenge of the forensics and the lack of hard evidence, the jury found Julie Ray guilty, and she was sentenced to 65 years in prison for capital murder
of her
own fucking son, who was brutally attacked in her home. She tried to fight off the attacker, and he
valiantly
died. Yes.
Oh my God.
While Julie was in prison, a sensational development occurred in 2004.
Sorry.
Yes, please.
If the other people in the prison caught on to why you're in prison, she probably didn't have a great fucking time there either.
No, but it's not, kid violence can be not well received in prison.
Right.
For
that's
sure.
What I'm saying.
So in 2004, serial killer Tommy Lynn Sells contacted a crime author named Diane Fanning, who was working on a book about him. He was, at the time he contacted her, was on death row in Texas for a similar crime to Joel's. He had, he'd had a couple of instances that he had been tried and now convicted of and was on death row for, of attacking people. In one case, it was a woman, and stabbing them, breaking into homes, like a lot of stuff lined up with his MO. And he confessed to breaking into a house in 1997 and stabbing a little boy to death with a kitchen knife. He recalled struggling with a woman inside and outside of the home. And he even recalled that the murder happened on a specific date, October 13th, the exact date of Joel's murder. He also gave details that only he could know about Julie grabbing his leg and being dragged through the house.
So he just fully confessed.
He confessed to a crime author.
Let her out.
Yeah. So investigator Bill Clutter, who had previously suspected Sells in this case, corroborated the confession with evidence that placed him near the Lawrenceville area, near this house at the time of Joel's murder. So they're not even just going off of the pretty compelling fact that he knew details about the home and the attack that only he and Julie could have known. But it was also confirmed that he was in the area at that time. But despite...
What more should you need?
Despite all of this compelling, corroboration, confession, etc., prosecutors, the state, brushed off Sells and his confession. Didn't look into it.
Great.
So they took it up the ladder. In 2004, an Illinois appellate court overturned Julie's conviction because basically it sounds like Julie's team came back with she didn't do this. Look, this guy confessed. The state was like, meh, we get jailhouse confession bullshit all the time. This isn't enough. So they are continuing to look. And I guess they got her previous conviction overturned due to a legal error and ordered a new trial. I tried to find out what this exact error was, but I couldn't find anything that was super clear. It's presented in a pretty vague, like the prosecution didn't do its job kind of way. I did find this quote from the Herald Times about this case. It said, quote, "The court said that the office of the state's appellate prosecutor overstepped its bounds by trying Ray's case rather than the state's attorney office." So it was like the prosecution in this case wasn't the right court like level.
Yeah.
So we're going to throw this out and start from scratch. But instead of releasing her, they rearrested her. So she had to stay in prison.
For what now?
To retry this case, despite the evidence that pointed to cells. They just, the last was thrown out. It's not like a double jeopardy thing. They rearrested her. They retried her for the same crime. And, you know, didn't really care about the cells confession.
Yeah.
And like I said about her ex-husband, he seems like kind of a dick. His name is Len Kirkpatrick. He's convinced of Ray's guilt. While he believes the error cited by the Court of Appeals should have been caught and corrected, like she does deserve this new trial, because that was not cool. But he's like, I'm kind of glad she's getting a new trial, because he wasn't satisfied with the 65-year sentence that she had received. He hopes a new case will lead to a stiffer penalty. Quote, "I feel like justice will prevail."
Stiffer?
Yeah.
She'll die in prison.
Yep.
That wasn't enough.
Apparently not. I think he really wanted the death penalty in her case.
God damn.
Quote, "I feel like justice will prevail and that Julie will be indicted, retried, convicted, and sentenced to the justice she deserves."
Okay.
Dude, like, I get that your son was murdered and you're fucked up about it, but this is like also fucked up and not gonna get justice for your son.
Yeah.
You know, like, you can't take whatever your anger and issues are with your ex into the fucking courtroom when you're trying to get justice for your fucking son.
Well, there are a lot of emotions going on here.
A lot. So at her 2006 retrial, armed with a new legal team from Northwestern University, Julie's defense presented Sell's confession to the jury. Prosecutors, still asserting Julie's guilt, once again relied on that fucking expert, quote unquote, aka cop, Rod Englert. This time, Englert introduced a new theory.
Oh.
That the tiny smear of Joel's blood on Julie's shirt that he previously said was from wiping off the knife was actually a bloody hand pushed up against it. So it's like a finger, suggesting that Joel had tried to push his mother away during the attack. Under cross-examination, Englert admitted that he had never requested measurements of Joel's hands, evidence that would be needed to back up the theory that the blood smear was from his finger.
He literally might as well have been soaking in the bathtub, daydreaming about
drinking a glass of wine, pitching theories.
Conceptually, how we can twist this evidence to make it look like she killed her own son.
Yeah. It's totally bullshit. There's no evidence to support this.
They just make this shit up. This is so bizarre.
A defense expert, Kenneth Moses, testified there was, quote, no scientific basis for making such a claim about the bloody handprint. The defense also argued that Julie's injuries couldn't have been self-inflicted. All of the injuries that she sustained in the struggle with the intruder. The prosecution had been like, she staged this. She beat the shit out of herself, basically.
She beat the shit out of herself.
She dragged herself and got rug burn marks. Yeah.
I don't even know what to say. I have no words for this.
They also presented evidence that investigators had missed intruder clues, including evidence of police perjury regarding searching the yard for footprints. They claimed that they never did.
They didn't do
anything.
They
walked in.
They didn't do anything.
They walked in. They saw this dead boy and this distraught woman. They didn't see like a broken lock or like a fucked up window, I guess, and went, she did it, and didn't even entertain what she was telling them happened.
Unbelievable.
But this time, most powerfully, Julie Ray herself took the stand to tell her story and adamantly denied killing her son. On July 26th, 2006, the jury returned a not guilty verdict. Julie let out a primal cry and fell to the floor. She was formally exonerated in 2010 when an Illinois Circuit Court granted her a certificate of innocence.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
The Ray case obviously highlights significant concerns surrounding the reliability of bloodstain-pattern analysis and obviously just the way that this fucking case was quote unquote investigated at all. Bloodstain-pattern analysis is a forensic discipline that has been under scrutiny for a very long time. The 2009 National Academy of Sciences report, which is a landmark study of forensic science, found that practitioners' conclusions were often, quote, more subjective than scientific and open to, quote, context bias. It cautioned that the uncertainties associated with the analysis were, quote, enormous. The report criticized several forensic disciplines for not being grounded in hard data and peer-reviewed research, relying instead on personal interpretation. So things like the bite mark analysis, very, very similar. And I believe that was mentioned in this study as well.
Do you remember that show? I think it was on HBO with Jake Gyllenhaal. And like, I think it was another child murder. It was like a limited series, but he was a lawyer and he was accused of murder.
Oh. No,
So,
I don't think I watched that.
His firm is representing him. And there's some part where they have like an expert witness. I think he was a medical examiner. But they're like, oh yeah, bring in Joe. We've used him a bunch in the past. He'll be a good expert witness. And then this Joe was like, I can't testify to that because it's not true. And they were like, what the fuck, man? We're friends. We go way back.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Don't think that shit's not happening in real life.
Of course it is.
And from this study, it goes on to say, critics argue that many practitioners are law enforcement officers, not scientists with backgrounds in relevant fields like physics or fluid mechanics, which are crucial for understanding how blood behaves outside of the body and actually analyzing the fall patterns, the spray patterns, all of those things. You have to have.
It's so complicated.
Yes.
There's so much to know about it.
So much to know. So much fucking science. Training can be short and lack the necessary scientific depth. A recent NIJ-funded black box study on bloodstain pattern analysis revealed concerning error rates. It found that on average, about 11% of analysts' conclusions were wrong. Even when reviewed by a second analyst, errors were reproduced between 18 to 34% of the time. Any two analysts' conclusions contradicted each other at an overall rate of about 8% on the same pattern review. The study noted the lack of uniformly applied terminology and classification standards, kind of like what you were saying about the fingerprints, as potential contributors to this variability. So if the standard isn't across the board, then any experts can come in with whatever limited confirmation, quote unquote, evidence there is
and say whatever
the fuck they want about it. It shouldn't be allowed. Like, I don't understand how the fuck that's not perjury for an expert who is basically just a retired cop who's looked at a lot of crime scenes, which, like, sure, there's definitely value in that kind of experience, but I want the fucking science. I want the physics. I want
a statistician to tell me what these odds are.
I want the full scale wraparound. I want all the eyes that look upon it in their field to come to some sort of agreement that, sure, this is a plausible thing that could have happened. Not one fucking guy who's a retired cop who had one theory, 6 years ago, and now he's back saying it's a fucking fingerprint, but has no evidence to back that up. Like, that's crazy.
It's fucking nuts.
It's making me so fucking mad.
Yeah.
And the Ray case is not unique. Convictions relying on bloodstain pattern analysis have been overturned across the country. Defense attorney Richard Kamen said of bloodstain pattern analysis in one such overturned case, quote, "It's as accurate as a Ouija board."
Oh.
And you know what? That's pretty fucking compelling.
He's right. Yeah.
That's pretty fucking compelling. Despite these known issues and calls for reform, little has fundamentally changed. You don't say. Attorney General Jeff Sessions even disbanded an Obama-era advisory panel aimed at improving forensic science standards. We don't want that. We want it to be easier to imprison people so that we can get money and slave labor. Doy.
Standardized testing, and that sounds boring.
That's too much. The lack of incentives to change persists as long as courts admit the evidence and prosecutors continue to win convictions with it. And that's just true. Even the mere threat of using scientific evidence can induce plea bargains, which are often unchallenged. If you're sitting in an interrogation room and they're saying, we've sent all of this off to blood spatter analysis. Yeah. We've got your fingerprints. We use luminol, blah, blah, blah. Like they will and we know that investigators are allowed to lie to try and catch.
Even if that shit is true.
Girl. I don't know. I don't know. Cause sometimes for some things I'm like, take the plea. It's not worth it to fucking go to court. But for other things, I don't know. It
depends what it is.
If
you're facing the rest of your life in prison.
Or death?
Yeah. For killing your son. The reach.
I know. The
fucking reach and the balls.
It's sick. It's so sick.
Oof.
And for poor fucking Julie, I mean, this ruined everything about this ruined her entire life. Not just the brutal death of her son, but what she endured afterward. I mean,
I don't know how you could really recover. I mean,
you can't.
The therapy, but I don't know how you could really recover.
I don't either. Her acquittal and exoneration brought her freedom, but not a return to her old life. She struggles with PTSD from the trauma of her son's murder and the physical and emotional abuse that she endured in prison. She was paid, girl, get fucking ready.
Okay.
$87,057 in compensation from the state. That's it. Not even $100,000. She spent years in prison. She endured 2 trials. She couldn't grieve the loss of her son. I don't even know if she could bury her son because the investigation took a few years, but like they ruined her life and they tossed her $87,000.
Oh,
meanwhile, police budgets are in the multi-millions and the taxpayer pays out for their blunders, but she got $87,000. Because they didn't do their fucking job. The cops didn't do their fucking job. That's
probably not even the total cost when all is said and done of the investigation in the first place.
Not even close. I guarantee it. It's very expensive to go to trial.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't have any fucking money. She had a public defender.
Oh, Jesus.
So they tossed this, I would assume, pretty poor woman who the only reason she had new representation for the new trial is because she was like involved in basically that university's like innocence project. Like people took up her case because it was so egregious. She didn't have the funds to get better legal representation the first time around. She had to just, use the defense that was offered to her. And public defenders are really important and they do incredible work, but they are overburdened and under-resourced. Mm-hmm. And so they just do not have the tools to go against the state, which can dump so many resources on a murder trial, especially when it's something as sensational as the potential of a mother murdering her son. Like this was all over the news. It completely changed public perception of this woman. She has to carry this for the rest of her fucking life. They ruined her life.
And the neighbors are like, she's cold. Karen, what are you talking about?
Karen, fuck you.
Yeah.
You're a cunt.
I've never liked you.
No, but you've always been a cunt. You beast. Beast. How dare you? I just was so livid reading about all of this. And this poor, I just want to fucking hug her. Like, it's fucking devastating. And this is happening to people every fucking day. Mm-hmm. She said she faced difficulty finding work, she lost relationships, and she continues to suffer in deeply private ways. Being branded a child killer left a scarlet letter she believes will never go away. Meanwhile, Tommy Lynn Sells was never formally charged for Joel's murder.
He's dead, isn't he?
He's dead. He was executed in Texas in 2014 for a different crime. Julie believes Joel still needs justice that he had never seen, because you can post-mortem convict someone for a crime you know they fucking committed. And they just didn't.
No.
The exoneration only brought her back to, quote, level ground. I'm going to finish with this because there's a woman named Fabian Witherspoon. She was one of the there might have been a couple more than two, but one of the very few known survivors of a Tommy Lynn Sells attack.
Oh, shit.
She lives with the aftermath of that attack, and she feels deeply connected to this case because she was attacked by Sells in 1992. She fought back, she injured him, and she lived to report him, thank God. She was able to, confirm his arrest, and that resulted in a 5-year prison sentence for him for attacking her, trying to kill her. He got 5 years.
But he didn't kill her, so he only got 5 years.
Yep. But now she lives with awful guilt because she blames herself, thinking if I fought harder to keep him imprisoned, she might have saved Joel and other people's lives that he killed after his release, because Joel was murdered not long after his 5-year prison sentence. It was within that year. He had pretty recently gotten out. And of course, Fabian, none of this is your fault.
Of course not.
Joel's death is on Sells and frankly on the state that didn't care enough about you, Fabian, and violence against women to sentence him to more than a brief 5 fucking years. And while he was on death row, he claimed to have killed up to 70 victims in various states, and investigators have been able to conclusively pinpoint him in at least 22 of those 70 cases that he claims, including Joel's. So he did kill Joel. He likely killed at least 22 other fucking people. He was and because he was sentenced to death for one of the murders that he got caught for, nobody else will, at least have that closure. They won't just bring the post-mortem charges. It's just every single piece of this and the fucking, drop of water effect and just how far out this reached and the damage this man did and got away with doing because people didn't fucking take his crimes seriously. They didn't take the women that he attacked seriously. They didn't take Julie seriously, who explicitly explained what happened in her home, and she was telling the truth. Yep. And she paid the ultimate price. She has lost her son forever, and her life is fucking ruined. I just feel like fucking bursting into tears when I read shit like this. It makes me so fucking mad.
And the avoidability of all of this.
So avoidable. If people, cops, investigators, would be less concerned about the closure rate, the clearance rates, and more concerned about actually figuring out who the fuck did shit, and I don't know, collecting and analyzing evidence and working with actual experts, actual scientists.
Doing your job.
I would love to see what the results of that could be.
We'd be living in a very different world.
Julie's story is just one well-documented story of miscarriage of justice. And she's a white woman. So that's likely why this is so well-documented. This happens to black and brown people every fucking day. And it happens to white people too. Obviously, we're talking about it. But if you're...
These aren't the only stories.
These are not the only stories. Anyway, I'm mad. I need to take a walk.
I think I need a beer.
Seriously, I need to smoke a joint.
Fuck.
It's almost 2. I can smoke.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to take my neighbor's dog for a walk and smoke a J because this is just Fickle Forensics. But you can see why when I read this case for the Luminol episode, I was like, we have to cover this. This is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Her kid was killed by a literal serial killer and she spent time in prison for it. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Bro.
I really thought that starting off with pickle crime scenes.
Hey, you did great. It's me who ruined everything. You did awesome. I'm so proud of you.
Well, you've been waiting for this episode for quite a while.
I have. And now it's, it's out there and I can hopefully do some somatic exercises to ground myself. I'm going to go literally touch grass and experience the sun.
You know what I just remembered, though? The one case that I found that I've heard about on Forensic Files with the grasshopper on the car grill, that was Forensic Firsts that I forced. And you forced Fickle Forensics because of this.
Yep. We all have our reasons.
Our forensic ones.
Yep. We got this.
I think you did an incredible job. I need to not think about that for a little while.
Yeah, that's fine. You can take a break. Julie can't, but you can.
I know.
Sorry, that was really
Or
mean.
Fabian.
I know. Poor sweet Fabian. Girl, do not blame yourself. You did nothing wrong. Nothing.
No.
You survived, and you did your best to put that
survived.
motherfucker behind bars. That's brave as hell.
Yeah. The culpable people are
the cops and the state.
Are not either of you. Yeah.
And
it's the fucking
obviously
state. It's
the guy,
system.
the murderer.
He's dead. Fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy.
That's a whole different level of fuck that guy.
And frankly, another reason why I'm like, fuck the death penalty, because this man should be alive to have to go to trial for all of these other cases that
I know they
he
killed
was
him
linked to
after one conviction.
And now none of these other families or survivors can see their fucking day in court to face the man who took their loved one away.
He was obviously willing to sing after the fact. He contacted the author.
Yes! He had one crime writer pen pal, and he was singing like a fucking canary. We could have learned so much. We could have solved so many other cases. He was, like you said, he was obviously willing to participate. Everything about this, the more I think about it, it just makes me more fucking pissed off.
I know. I gotta stop.
We have to stop.
I gotta stop.
We have to stop.
Thank you so much for listening. As usual, if you want to hear this and all of our episodes ad-free, join us on Uncorked. You can find more information at wineandcrimepodcast.com.
Please.
Thank you for listening. Thanks for sticking with us. We're so sorry.
I'm not apologizing. Ever. Well, no, I will apologize, but not for this.
Not for this. We're not the ones who need to be sorry.
Nope.
Anyway, fuck all these dudes. We love you. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Like what you see?
Check out more episodes and become a member to unlock exclusive content.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.